r/ask Reddit. What was the craziest reason a teacher at your school got fired? A professor at my college was placed on administrative leave because he was charged with participating in the Rwandan genocide and was deported shortly after. He ended up being found not guilty, although I think he's still in a Rwandan prison for denying that the genocide happened. Edit. To be more clear, his opinion was that the genocide was not a genocide, and that it was a civil war in which the Hutu were victimized as much as, if not more than, the Tutsi. How TF do you deny that the Rwandan genocide happened? Like, I think we've all seen footage. So there are people who also deny the Holocaust. People just suck. A history teacher I had in high school gave us a lot of random documentary movie days, during which she would just sit in the back at her desk drinking tea. The year after I graduated, she had a movie day, and when the film ended she didn't get up or do anything but sit there, eyes closed, fearing the worst. Some students went to the office and brought an administrator down who found she was passed out drunk. They found bottles in her desk. Why is it always the history or math teachers that are bad teachers? Math are always pedophiles and history are either drunks or pedophiles. It makes me feel really weird since those are my two favorite topics. Anyway, I have to get off Reddit and get back to sharing a cocktail with my grandson. Wait, are you seriously asking why someone who loves history so much they decided to teach it, and then they had to deal with high schoolers' drinks? Cussing out a student. It was a librarian at an elementary school. Bet that student got an expanded vocabulary after that. Take this up, vote good sir. Wish I had an award. Long story short, my French teacher was ducking the lunch lady in school property. Maybe he was just thanking her for her delicious mashed potatoes? Well, he sure smashed hers. Sent a porn link instead of Google form by email. Many students then commented on the video with a lot of great jokes. Funny times. Took one for the team. Sounds like you saw the same video. Our AP calculus teacher in high school had a mental break. Ranted for an entire class period about some nonsense. Then drank an entire bottle of salsa. Stormed out and never came back. They had a substitute for the rest of the semester, which was unfortunate since the sub wasn't a calculus teacher, so they were at a disadvantage for the AP test. An entire bottle of salsa? Like a party bottle of El Paso medium salsa. Our teacher was a chronic liar and lied about having a master's and a degree. Funny thing is she actually did have a relevant degree that would have got her the job. Other lies include dating Brad Pitt, being an ex-gang member, and even being a multimillionaire but just enjoying teaching. I have some strong deja vu from this comment. I swear I've seen it before. Well, it is about chronic liars. I'm looking at you, OP. Our high school art teacher got fired after someone found an old YouTube video of him painting with his ass cheeks. We held a protest to try to keep him around, but they fired him anyway. Pablo Picasso? This is so hilarious and random at the same time. 25 years ago at my all-boys Catholic high school, a priest was accused of court molesting a student. Of course this wasn't a firing offense for a priest back then, it was just hushed up. The guy was creepy as hell. Earlier this year I read about him in the paper, a fresh round of allegations. He was allowed to keep on going for another 25 freaking years. You write Catholic priest and you instantly know what it's gonna be about. The Catholic priest stereotype is one stereotype I wish wouldn't keep continually proving itself to be true. In high school, FL, for pay our teacher took us canoeing. Instead of checking the weather, he brought 15 freshmen into the channel our school was on. A severe thunderstorm hit, and our teacher paddled safely back to school and left us teens in the water. We tied our canoes together and rowed back to school. But we were drenched and super late. Our teacher was just standing on the dock, not a care in the world. He got fired like 2 days later. Something like this happened in my country. The outcome was just a bit worse. Some of the students got permanent brain damage because of how long they were exposed to the ice cold water. Edit. Found a wiki page about the accident, https://en.m. Wikipedia. Org wiki/2011 Presto Fjord Dragon Boat Accident. I forgot about the teacher that died. Similar story in my hometown, except 4 kids died. It was a huge news story nationally for a couple of days. Years later, I discovered that someone I was friends with was there, but he hated talking about it. My middle school history teacher, Mr. Lewis, used to invite me and some of my friends, all girls, into his room before classes, since otherwise we had to stay in the incredibly cramped hallway. This was desirable, especially when he let us play with Cliverbit on his desktop. Mr. Lewis was pretty weird. He only ever wore velvet suits with pocket squares, and sometimes he'd randomly start crying in the middle of class. Weirdest of all, he'd make us listen to his love poetry, dedicated to his dead wife, who we later learned did not and had not existed. In retrospect, that love poetry was definitely for us. Specifically, it was for one of us, my friend Ruth, who looked notably younger than your average 12-yo. He'd always ask her to write notes on the blackboard and stare at her while she did it. The rest of us noticed Ruth was Mr. Lewis' favorite, but it didn't strike us as that weird. Well, one day, it was only Ruth who got to school early. The rest of us didn't come till later. She went into Mr. Lewis' room, and I guess he tried something. Luckily I don't think it got very far. He was put on leave. They brought him back a year later. Fun. That man needs some serious help. He wrote poetry for a bunch of young girls. That's some ducked up stuff. The velvet suits and pocket squares should have been clue enough, I would think. Human trafficking and 9 counts of sexual misconduct with a minor. Edit. No, it was not me. Haha, you made a funny good job. And thanks dudes, this blew up more than I expected by a lot. That dude went all out. Threw a chair across the classroom, hitting a student in the process. I think she was going through a divorce or something, but it was talk of the town throughout the whole week. We never saw her again after that. She thinks she's starring in Duck in Whiplash or something. He was caught putting a camera under the girls' swimming changing room door. Year 6, grade 5. Edit. This was about 6 years ago. Don't know what happened to him after he was fired. Ducker was sick. A student teacher who was coaching cheer gave a girl pain meds, narcotic, without a prescription or permission from parents. She got fired. Never heard if she managed to get a teaching license after that. Edit. Just to clarify, giving meds is usually not allowed because it's a liability issue. Everyone is perfectly allowed to bring their own pain meds that are over the counter or prescribed to them and take them, but the school can't dispense them. Also, the real issue here is that the pain meds were not over the counter and they were prescribed to the student teacher, not the cheerleader. It's pretty uncool to give a kid opioids without permission. I remember a day where I got my braces tightened and asking a friend for a Tylenol. I guess my science teacher overheard because he gave me one, but he made me promise not to tell anybody. Don't know what would have happened if I told someone my science teacher gave me a pill. Yeah, it's really weird. They did this in my school too. If you needed Tylenol, they sent you to the nurse. They wouldn't let you use your own or give out cough drops. One time one of my teachers literally went off on a kid when he was handing out cough drops. It feels so surreal now, lol. Had a history teacher show a bunch of 7th graders drunk history. The goody two-shoes of the class asked and told her mom, who complained to the school. He was fired by the end of the week. That's the girl that asks if we need to turn in assignments right before class gets out. Mr. Melville, you forgot to tell us what our homework is. Back when I was in high school, I had a history teacher who looked like Santa Claus and for the most part was a cool and funny dude. He made jokes most of the class and kept it pretty entertaining while still being informative. Well, one day there was this tall curly-haired 9th grade kid who was being loud and obnoxious in the hall, and so Santa teacher went out and asked him to stop as the kid was disrupting his class. Kid didn't listen, so he stepped out of the class and asked him nicely to stop talking so loud in the hallway. Now, I'm not exactly sure what the kid said to him, but whatever it was caused my teacher to lose it and punched the kid right in the eye and held him against the locker like the stereotypical bully does to the nerd in TV shows and movies. Kid ended up with a black eye and broken nose, and my history teacher was soon fired after that. Turns out my teacher had a bit of a mean streak that popped up every blue moon. Apparently, he almost fought a bus driver who was about to leave a student who was running late from their last class. Edit. For anyone curious, here's a news article about it. https://www.wafb Com story /15,572,162 students rally in support of teacher facing felony charge. Edit 2. Oh wow, thanks for the awards, kind strangers. You're awesome. I mean, I think this is just me, but I think the bus driver kinda deserved it. Oh, absolutely. If memory serves me right, in the attempt to leave, my teacher held the door to the bus open and wouldn't budge until the kid got to the bus. The bus driver proceeded to ask him, "And who are you to hold my bus from leaving?" And my teacher replied, "I'm Richard Ducking Haywood. Who the duck are you?" The bus driver got up to get in his face, but the kid showed up a few seconds later, so nothing else happened after that. I was at a Catholic school and one teacher got fired because he remarried after a divorce. Bruh. Fun fact, in the eyes of the Catholic Church, once married, always married, even if you legally get divorced. My aunt and uncle had to petition the Pope, I'm sure not actually the Pope, but, yep, church bigwigs, and prove that her previous marriage ended due to abuse in order for it to be annulled by the church. They had divorced legally years prior. Also, that my aunt and uncle could get married in the Catholic Church. If the divorce isn't annulled by the church, any new marriage is considered polygamy. This was probably in the early 80s. He threw pencils at students. One day he threw a chair at a girl who annoyed him. Serious anger management issues. And then they found the child porn on his computer at school. Rumor was that he had also been grooming one of the student aides. I haven't heard a thing about him since the year he disappeared. Was this in rural Michigan? This was in the South. But the fact that it may also have happened elsewhere makes me uncomfortable. My language arts teacher got caught taking the bus up to the mountain to smoke weed with the ski club. This was back before the sticky icky was legal here. I guess you could say he was high up on leave. He was only trying to provide a higher education. Not my school, but one in my general area had an entire lunch period's worth of students watch a male teacher scream at his wife, female teacher in the same school, after catching her with the janitor in school. To be fair, that's how some people probably react. Some? It was in a Catholic monastery school not even 10 years ago. My homeroom teacher prevented the suicide of a nun and got fired for it. That's literally all the info we pupils got at the time. Apparently you can't do anything right in this world. So, lem get this straight. Diddle kids equals shuffled to new congregation. Diocese preventer suicide equals termination? Maybe he panicked and tried to jump kick the knife out of her hand? A teacher called one of his students and drunk confessed his obsessive love to her on voicemail, promising to leave his new wife and baby for her. Not only is that messed up to the extreme, it seems so weird. Didn't get fired, but should have. 9th grade. Room of angsty teens gets a new English teacher, Mrs. Redacted. This English teacher likes 3 things: Jesus, pouring pills down her autistic son's throat, and Anne Rice. During class, when talking about an assignment, a couple students talked about a student who attempted suicide and the teacher had enough. She got up and explained how to properly cut your wrists to a whole class. What an educational experience. Edit. Wow. Thanks for the awards and upvotes. I rarely bring up this teacher, but this Ascredit seemed the appropriate time. Also, I removed the name. Hey, quick question, what the duck? Edit. How the duck did my response get awards? I'm not interesting enough. Guys, go award top level comments. Yay, just what the duck. Fiddled a kid at a summer camp. He's dead now. He got killed in prison 3 months in. Edit. Wow, my most awarded comment is about my old gym teacher diddling and getting killed. Nice. I hope that kid is okay. Yeah, he's mostly fine, huge pothead and a bit of a womanizer, but I can't really blame him. Probably not that crazy, but a history teacher who made sexually explicit commentary jokes directed largely at female students on multiple occasions, showed multiple R-rated films that had nothing to do with the curriculum, without getting parental consent. This was 6th grade, so we were 12 years old or so. He also really liked to talk about the Nanking Massacre in graphic detail, especially the sexual parts, complete with pictures he put up on the projector. He devoted multiple days to it. I never got confirmation that that was what got him fired, but that was everything that I had documented with times and dates and brought up to the principal very shortly before he was never seen at school again. Edit. This got more attention than I expected. I had honestly never considered that the guy could be a pedophile and that was grooming or whatever. I was just a colossal nerd who was upset we weren't learning more history with all the time spent on movies and him chatting and joking during class time. The nanking bit was disturbing and forever burned into my head. But right alongside the Holocaust, which in the context of a history class, a historical event, didn't seem that unreasonable to go over. It wasn't nanking in general, but the joy he took in describing it that bothered me. And I say he spent multiple days on it, but a day for this guy was only like 10-15 minutes of actual instruction, the rest being the chatting. I was proud of my part in getting rid of him, because the rest of the year was spent actually learning history, with homework and reports and everything. I never considered that I might have had a role in curtailing the efforts of a pedophile. I never told my classmates of what I did, because they hated me enough already without them knowing I might have helped turn an easy A class into one they had to actually put a bit of effort into. Whoa, you made it to the end? You're a ducking beast. I'll cut you a deal. Smash like and subscribe for more curated content, bruh. It's free and that's a great price.